The U.S. president is all set to make his first joint address to the U.S. Congress on Tuesday, more than 1 month after returning to the White House. Just moments ago, Donald Trump posted on his social media platform, Truth Social, in which he said, and I quote, "Tomorrow night will be big. I will tell it like it is." Trump's speech comes after weeks of executive orders and cabinet decisions to completely overhaul the way administration is run in the United States. Tariff walls, a crackdown on illegal immigrants, mass layoffs of federal workers, and revoking the system of diversity hires. All major moves made by the Trump administration since January 20th have sent shockwaves, triggered protests across the country, and also opened the gateways to a flurry of lawsuits. But many are also supportive of these moves, which Trump loyalists feel are necessary to slash public spending and reform American administration. This time, the Trump administration set up the Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk, to slash spending by $1 trillion. Back in 2017, when Trump addressed the U.S. in his first term, the Republican leader asked lawmakers to approve $1 trillion worth of funding to invest in America's infrastructure.
To launch our national rebuilding, I will be asking Congress to approve legislation that produces a $1 trillion investment in infrastructure of the United States, financed through both public and private capital, creating millions of new jobs.
No doubt, Trump's speech also comes on the heels of a very public war of words with the Ukrainian president, casting a shadow over the warring country's future and raising concerns over negotiations of peace with Russia. All right, let's talk to our correspondent in the United States. Susan Teherani is now joining us from New York. Good to see you, Susan. And a lot has happened in the last 2 days or the last weekend. Bring us up to speed with what to expect with Donald Trump's first speech to the Congress.
Yeah, Eric, I thought it was really interesting. You read his social media post on Truth Social that he's going to tell it like it is, as if we were expecting anything else from Donald Trump. It's going to be very frank. It's going to be blunt. I expect it to be very different from the speech that they had prepared prior to Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to the White House and that Oval Office fiasco. He is going to talk about Ukraine, the path forward, what he plans to do. It'll be interesting to see how politicians react. It's going to be really a split Congress between the Democrats and Republicans. And while behind him, usually the Speaker of the House and Vice President sit, people are very interested to see where Elon Musk is going to be seated during that speech. He wants to talk about spending cuts, border security, and tax cuts. And while border security has brought Republicans and Democrats together, the issue of spending cuts and tax cuts is going to be a very fraught issue as he brings it up. Expect Republicans to stand up and clap, while the Democrats perhaps will see how they want to react. But, you know, ultimately, when it comes at least to domestic issues, regardless of who's president, we don't really expect to see a lot of detail, but we are going to sort of see an outline of where he wants to go.
Susan, I am so sure that you really want to talk about the brawl at the Oval Office. That spiraled out of control. What are Americans saying about that incident on Friday?
It's interesting. The people that saw the last half of that brawl on social media are siding with Volodymyr Zelensky, but people who saw the entire thing, which was about an hour or so, we were on air, of course, carrying it live. We all saw it. They say that perhaps Volodymyr Zelensky stepped out of bounds and he's not very politically or diplomatically savvy to sit in the Oval Office and talk to his host like that. Ultimately, what was also very interesting, Eric, I want to bring this up. Yesterday, the UK ambassador to the US broke ranks with 10 Downing Street and said Volodymyr Zelensky has to listen to Donald Trump, come to the negotiating table immediately and sign this mineral deal under Trump's terms. Of course, 10 Downing Street reacted to that less than 24 hours later, saying, well, that's not really our position. He doesn't really carry that much political weight, the ambassador in the United States. Our position is very different. We'll even put boots on the ground. So you can see that despite what the UK says, it seems that even within their own government, they're scrambling. And I think Europe is also hoping that somehow the United States and Ukraine can come together. I just finally just want to say that I think it was very interesting that all of this is happening, of course, in the public sphere. Vladimir Zelensky is watching. And of course, everything that I mentioned, the American people have been watching, and they're going to go into the speech by President Trump with all of this baggage and backstory, so to say. So it'll be very interesting to watch tomorrow.
All right. Susan Tehrani, as always, good to see you. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.